Filipino nursing student is going the extra mile to empower the youth. Kiel Mariano was recognized by a US-based organization for his initiative to promote literacy even amid this ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. He joins us tonight to share the story behind his initiative. Kiel, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. Sabihin mo sa akin, what made you create itong Ladders to Literacy program?
So we figured that there was a lot of illiterate children and youth in the Philippines, and that reading and writing is a fundamental human skill. If they're not able to read and write when they're adults, imagine how much future is at stake for us. Imagine how they will not be able to become proactive citizens to our country. So literacy is not just a right, but it's a matter of survival. And we wanted to reinforce this by believing in the statements of the World Literacy Foundation that every child and young person has the right to read and write.
So how does this Ladders to Literacy program work, Kiel, during the pandemic?
So during the pandemic, it has been very difficult because we used to do this when we were in face-to-face. We had to be present there to read and write with the kids. So what we did is we shifted to online storytelling. And this was a very big platform because we didn't only get storytellers from the Philippines, but we also got storytellers from Brazil, from Turkey, from the US. So it was a global initiative to bring reading and writing to every Filipino.
And the age range is between 6 to 12 years old. Are you planning to expand that to maybe an older ages, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17? Because this age group, there are also a lot of our kababayans who also cannot read and write.
Yeah, I agree. And we really have to reinforce this culture of a bayanihan spirit of allowing these Filipinos to learn how to read and write. Not only to be able to become proactive citizens, but also to reinforce the bayanihan spirit among them, because we want these Filipinos to also create their own projects like Streets to Schools, to any advocacy they're passionate about. And I want to quote this very important message. It's that we do not inherit the future from our ancestors. We simply borrow it from our children. So we have to invest in children and youth, even the same age as I am, to be able to give everyone that opportunity to advocate the Sustainable Development Goals.
But the big question is, no? I mean, we are in the midst of this pandemic.
Yeah.
There are no face-to-face classes. What about the results, Kiel? By how much has the program increased youth literacy rates?
Well, we can't really say how much for that is for now because it's still an ongoing pandemic. But we were able to publish 2 storybooks already, and we co-wrote these with children who were not able to read and write before. So aside from that ability to know, to say that the child is able to read and write, the child can say, I published a storybook. I'm able to teach others how to read and write. And that's a very invaluable achievement for us in Streets to Schools.
Briefly tell us some background about these 2 books that have been published. What's the plot? How do you try to reach out to the youth through these books?
So the first book is called Literate Lila. It's about a child living in Manila North Cemetery. So in this cemetery, there are thousands of children who live here. They live as informal settlers or playing all day in the cemeteries, but giving them that opportunity to publish this book to showcase that they can combat illiteracy was one of our greatest achievements. Because one of the child who did not want to go to school anymore, the reason was because of bullying, because the classmates told her, you don't know how to read and write, you shouldn't be in school. Even as simple as that, we have to address a problem like that. It may be small, but it may impact a big part of the future of the child. So we wrote Literate Lila to prove to the child that she can read and write, and she published a storybook because she knows how to read and write. While the other storybook is called Alamat ng Alitap-tap, it's actually one of our books that's gonna introduce the app we're developing, because we're trying to develop a children's rights gaming app so that we can also be able to advocate the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child.
Wow, you really hit home, no? It really touches the grassroots level in terms of teaching reading and writing to the youth, Kiel. But how will this recognition from the Youth Service America's everyday young heroes further implement your literacy program? Will you be receiving any monetary grants to at least financially support your program? Because, you know, Kiel, you're still studying and you have an exam that's taking place tomorrow. You're a second-year student, and it feels like you have already graduated. I feel like you already have a master's and even a doctorate in literacy. So how do you balance your time?
I guess it's very important to not make any excuses. That's actually one of our quotes of our nursing theorist, Florence Nightingale. A nurse should never make excuses. We need to have that sense of urgency that even though I have an exam tomorrow, we need to invest in time even to important platforms like these to be able to give young people the voice to participate in creating our world a better place. We have to invest in young people so that they can also create programs like these and also be part of the change when they grow up to be citizens. After all, change takes a lot of time, which is why we have to start young. And other than that, from what you previously said, I'll be receiving a certificate of recognition, a congratulatory letter, and other features that could give me grants for this project. And hopefully we can use it as an organization to bring this project all around the world.
Kiel Mariano, we salute you and your Ladders to Literacy program.